All right, let's dig into one of the biggest, most mind-bending ideas in all of sociology. It's this concept that the reality you see, the world you live in every single day, it isn't just there. It's something that we all, together, are constantly building.
So let me just start by asking you this. Is the world you see actually real, or is it something else, something we've all just kind of agreed to believe in? It's a huge question, I know, but the answer is just so fascinating.
Okay, so let's jump in with this quote from Benedict Anderson. What he's saying here is that for any big group of people, like a whole country, the thing that connects them isn't physical at all. It's not about being in the same room. It's this shared image, this feeling of community that exists entirely in our minds. And that idea? Well, that's our launchpad.
So, to really get how we build reality, first, we've got to figure out what a society even is. And trust me, the answer is probably not what you think.
You know, we tend to think of society as a physical place, right? A country with borders on a map. But the glue that actually holds it all together is the mental space. It's the shared identity, that feeling that you have something in common with millions of strangers you'll never, ever meet.
I mean, think about it for a second. What even is a border, really? It's just a line someone drew on a map that we've all collectively decided means something. It's a completely imaginary idea that we've given incredible real-world power.
And that brings us to this key concept from Anderson, imagined communities. You're never going to meet every single person in your country. No way. But you still feel this connection, this bond. Why? Because you share stuff, like a government, a language, maybe some traditions. You imagine you're all on the same team.
Okay, so if society is this giant imagined community, what's the blueprint? What's the instruction manual we're all working from? Well, that blueprint is culture.
Culture is pretty simple, really. It's just the way of life for any group of people. It's not something we're born with, it has to be taught, and it has to be learned. It's all the shared things, the ideas, the beliefs, even the physical objects that make our imagined community feel solid and real.
So you can basically break culture down into two main parts. First, you've got material culture. That's all the physical stuff we make. Our cars, our books, our phones. And then you have non-material culture. These are the invisible things. The ideas, the beliefs, the values we hold dear.
To really see how these two parts of culture dance together, let's just take an object that most of us have with us right now.
A smartphone.
Now, this is where it gets really cool. The sociologist Robert Merton pointed out that objects have two different functions. The manifest function is the obvious stated purpose. A phone is for communicating, right? But then there's the latent function, the hidden social meaning. That exact same phone is also a status symbol. It signals how much money you have or how tech-savvy you are.
Okay, so we've got our imagined community, and we're building it from a cultural blueprint. But how does this all work in our day-to-day lives? Well, it all comes down to following the unwritten rules of the game.
I mean, seriously, for millions of us to cooperate every day without descending into total chaos, we need some kind of order, some predictability. And that's exactly what culture provides. It gives us the building blocks for that order.
And here's how those rules are kind of stacked on top of each other. It all starts with these broad values, like the general belief that family is important. That value then shapes the roles we play in life, like being a parent or a child. And then each of those roles comes with a whole set of specific unwritten rules or norms that tell us how to act, like a good parent should read their kid a bedtime story.
Just stop and think about your own day for a second. You might be a student in the morning, an employee in the afternoon, a sibling at dinner, and a friend at night. And for each of those roles, there's a totally different set of expectations for how you're supposed to behave. It's amazing we keep it all straight. So we've built this incredibly complex system of shared meanings and rules. But why? Why does it matter so much? And maybe more importantly, what happens when it all starts to fall apart?
Let's just ask that question head on. What happens when all those values and roles and norms that guide us suddenly become confusing? Or maybe they just disappear altogether?
Well, sociologists have a word for that exact situation. They call it anomie. It's basically a state of normlessness, where the social rulebook just gets tossed out the window. People start to feel lost, totally disconnected, and they have no idea how they're expected to act anymore.
And the result of anomie is pretty much social breakdown. It leads to this massive sense of confusion, anger, and fear. When you can't predict how other people are going to behave, every single interaction becomes risky and stressful. The whole social game just becomes impossible to play.
So, here it is, the big takeaway. Our reality might be something we all construct, something we imagine together, but it is absolutely essential.
This shared agreement on how things work, it's the very foundation that creates order and keeps society from falling into chaos. And that leaves us with one last, really powerful thought. If our reality is something we all build together, well, that also means we have the power to change it. We have the power to build something new. The only question is, what do we want to build next?